Morning, Graham.
Interesting squad, a few new faces, a couple of enforced absences. What was your thinking? How difficult was it to put this squad together?
I think you're always looking to, every time you represent your country, you need to make sure you get the best group of players you can together, obviously. So that's all I look to do, really. We look at this stage of the season. It's not just form, really. It's look at it to see who's played how many minutes, how many games, who's lacking in game time. Because the problem we've got is, of course, we don't play until till June, going into the second week in June. That means a lot of the players have had a bit of time, resting time, which is good and bad. So yeah, that's really in my thinking when I'm trying to put the squad together. We know we haven't got huge amount of players to pick from anyway, so a lot of it really picks itself. But there's always some changes, whether that's due to suspensions or injury. So that's why we're looking. There's some young faces in there, some new faces. It'll be great for those guys. Really looking forward to working with them. And of course, most of them, they know the drill. They've been it all, seen it, and done it all before. But no, I can't say it was that tough of a task to put the squad together, because we haven't been together since March. So there's plenty of time to monitor people, see what's what. But I'm excited about the squad. I'm looking forward to working with them.
This is a training camp squad. Will the actual match squad be significantly different?
No, it won't be hugely different. No, there'll be obviously a couple of names then missing going to Serbia, but anybody that is coming to Serbia will be in that group, and we'll have to cut that to 23 before we go to Belgrade, which I'll do when we're out in Portugal in the training camp.
A long time since you picked a squad without Gareth, Bale. Did that feel a bit strange?
Yeah, I think we've known. It's not been sprung on us. We've known for some time he's not going to be with us. So, the worst one is when you get a phone call when you're expecting somebody to be there, and they can't be there. But this one, seen it coming for some months, so probably dealt with disappointment some time ago. It's good for us as well, when you have a player that good. Everybody wants to talk about that player, and rightly so. He's earned that. It's a good challenge for us now without him being with us on the pitch. And can we handle it? We have done it before. We went to Belgium once with no Gareth Bale, no Ashley Williams, no Joe Allen, and we got a result. I remember on the night, Aaron Ramsey was incredible. He ran the show, and so people are prepared to step up. That's I'm quite confident of that. But ideally, you want your best players on the pitch. But I've had a lot of time to, I know that he's not going to be there. Plenty of time to plan. I'm not going into this game thinking we can't do what we want to do. On the contrary, really, got total belief in in the demands that what our players need to do. Are they capable of doing it? Absolutely. So, it'd been great to have him, but I've known for some time we're not going to have him, so there's no worries.
How up to date are you on his current fitness? Did you expect him to play in the Champions League?
That'll be up to, obviously, Zinedine Zidane and Madrid, but he's played a small part, hasn't he, just of late. If there's any chance of him being fit to start the game, he has to start the game, and that's for any team, because he's that good. Madrid know that. So if he doesn't start, obviously he's not ready to play 90 minutes. But I couldn't tell you whether it's an absolute yes or no, to be honest with you. We want Madrid to win because he's one of our own, and it'd be nice. I mean, if they do win, for him to win 3 Champions Leagues, I mean it's untouchable. That as an overseas player, if you look at all the players that have gone abroad down the years, nobody's done that, come anywhere near it. So he's done amazingly well. He really has, and of course we want him to go on and win another final.
Tell me, Chris, about some of these new faces that in there. Tom Lockyer, Gethin Jones, Ethan Ampadu, Marley Watkins. Is this the new face of the new Wales?
Well, these, the boys, some of our lads won't go on forever. They've been there for so long. The next couple of years, maybe, we lose some players, unfortunately, but that's just football. I hope it's a bit longer. But we've got a plan for the future. And when you lose players, like we talk about losing Gareth, Bale, we haven't got Neil Taylor. Neil Taylor's been fantastic. But you guys see the finished article on the pitch. I see them every day, what they like and what they contribute to what we're about. Neil Taylor's massive in that, and he'll be a lost Tails. So sooner or later, it's the same for any international football team. Some of the older guys, they can't go on forever. So maybe in the next 2 to 3 years, who knows, they'll be changing faces. So these young ones, it's a good experience for them to come in and see what it's all about. And I think, they've earned it as well. We've studied them for a long time. They've been through our system. So, they've earned to come and have a little taste of what it's all about. Because it's tough international football and it's not for everyone. You have to keep coming and you have to persevere. And if you really want to play international football, you want to represent your country, that's what you do, eventually. So these young boys who are coming into it, they've by no means made it as an international football, even if they get on the pitch. Because I tell that to George Williams and Johnny Williams, our younger ones who have had more game time. They're still very much fighting their way into a career as an international footballer, because unless you had 20, 30 caps, that's how tough it is. So these young boys are going to sample it. They've done great to get to this position, and they've still got it all to do to maintain it and to get better. They're capable of it, and it'll be down to them. But they've earned this experience, and I'm looking forward to working with them.
Gethin Jones is an interesting guy. Qualifies for Australia. Has he fully committed to Wales? Yeah, I think, as I understand it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be coming. He's done well, Gethin. Really, really good attitude, great mentality. And again, he's something that we've looked at for a long time. And he deserves to be here. And I think Gethin will enjoy it, and Tom Lockyer will enjoy it, Marley Watkins, and these players, they're all going to enjoy it. And what it does as well, sometimes it lifts the tempo up in the training because they're excited. It's new, the new faces, we're new faces for them. That can lift the tempo. It's like sometimes when you're at a domestic club and on a Thursday or a Friday, if you want to lift the tempo in the training, you bring some of the youngsters up because the very least they're going to be running about. So I'm excited. I think it's exciting times for Wales because these youngsters, and there's 1 or 2 more out there who've just missed out this time, but they'll get a chance. Hopefully this will be the team in the next 3, 4, or 5 years. And they've got to start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere, and hopefully that somewhere is now for these ones. There's obviously, Chris, a sharpened concern about security issues at the moment in all sports with crowds and so on. Do you have concerns for players and for fans going out to Belgrade?
I think my concerns are for society, to be honest with you. It's sickening. Heart goes out to the people of Manchester and the families who've lost loved ones. We don't expect to go to a concert, something like that to happen. So yeah, I think my concerns are for all of us, for society, and it doesn't matter whether you're in the public eye or not. We're all susceptible to vulnerability, and so yeah, my concerns are for society, not just us.
But have you taken any extra measures that you haven't taken before for this particular trip in the planning stage?
We're lucky. We're very lucky. We've always had a security staff that have been absolutely fantastic. There's, our camps are locked down. It's for us as the manager, the staff, the players. We are looked after like you can't believe, and you have to be like that nowadays. So, I'm not going into this camp thinking anything other than I've always thought we're always in safe hands. Problem is, we all think we're in safe hands and safe, but nowadays, are we? But we've got a great security team looking after us.
Aaron Ramsey, obviously playing in the cup final this weekend. Will he join you a little later or not?
Yeah, Rambo. Yeah, he'll need a few days because he's been training. Same with Chrissy Gunter and Danny Ward. You know, they've got the playoff final. So physically, these boys are fine because their season's been prolonged by success. But they'll meet us up. Yeah, halfway through the week they'll come out to Portugal. But they're all right physically. They're fine. Hopefully they'll come through the game, come through the 90 minutes or however long it takes. So I want them to play because physically it's good for them. Just make sure that they don't nothing happens within the game, you know. And hopefully they get the results. We can't. Well, Reading or Huddersfield, one of them are going to be disappointed. But we wish them all the best.
Just lastly from me, I'm sure it hasn't escaped your notice that Crystal Palace are looking for a new manager. Are you interested?
The Palace. I'm happy to talk about the Palace. I'd love to go back to the Palace. I'm not sure Prince Charles is just ready for me just yet, to be honest with you, but I had a good time at the Palace. But nah, I'm thinking about all I think is Serbia. That's all I think about. That's all I care about. All I care about now is Wales. I don't think about after Serbia. I can't afford to think past one game, you know. I think lots of things are being said. I think on the back of comments I made at the start of the campaign when I signed a new contract. But honestly, I cannot go into a game of football thinking if we lose, because we've lost. And I've never thought that. It's about making sure our boys perform like they have been. We're not far off, you know. Honestly, points-wise, the gap's not unbridgeable. Performance-wise, we're not far off where we need to be. You know, whether we've got Gareth or not, collectively we're not far off. And that's all I can't control what's said about me or anybody else outside of Wales. I don't care about it, if I'm honest. I only care about Wales. I only care about preparing properly. I'm really looking forward to this game for more than one reason. And that's where my thinking is, and that's where my mind is.
Chris, you mentioned the comments you made at the start of the group. You can understand why people are looking at this game and thinking it could be pivotal for your future.
Of course.
If things don't go your way, does that mean Wales are out of the group, and then do you have to think about whether you carry on?
I think when it comes that we can't, if it comes that we can't, then there's a conversation to be had. But until that happens, you know, maybe I'm the only one man in Wales that thinks like I do, but I think we will. I'm confident we will. You know, I know it's a huge task for us, but I'm not. I've still got the same excitement to do the job, and I've still got the same belief in the players and the team. So we're 4 points behind, and we go to Serbia. We haven't got our best player. Oof. You know, what can happen here? Well, I tell you what can happen here is we can go there and get a result. That's what can happen there. And then in the 4 games remaining, we need to be, you know, looking at maximum points if we want to do it. But we did it in the last campaign. We beat Belgium and we went to Israel and won. Went to Cyprus and won. We put a run of games together. So why can't we do it again? I think this group is one of the toughest groups we find ourselves amongst. But I think we're one of the best teams. We've proved that. So, no, I don't believe we're far off at all. And I will not start to think if this happens and it's a negative and my future is Serbia, Belgrade. That's what my future is. 90 minutes. And can I produce? Can we produce? Can we perform? That's my future.
And so it's not even about what happens in other games as well?
No, I said at the start, if it comes to a point where we cannot affect our future in this campaign, of course, we don't even need to sit down with the powers that be. That hasn't happened, you know. I think because I don't know whether people expected us to win every game in this campaign because we got to a semi-final of a tournament. People look at us differently. I know that. I can't remember too many Welsh teams are coming back from Austria or Republic of Ireland with draws and being disappointed. You know, that's where we are. But it's our own fault because that's the success we've had in the past. I'm all right with that. I'm happy with that. I'm happy that there's pressure on us to go and get a result in this next game.
up against one of the best teams in the group. That means we've been doing something right, that people look at us that way. I'll take that all day, because I've been here before where we've been at the opposite end of the table. And it's, are you going to stay? Will you resign? Will you get sacked if you lose the next one because you've lost 3 or whatever? So I've experienced that. I'm more than happy to sit here and have these type of questions about my future. But my future, for me, my future is Wales. I don't look past, because the future for me is Serbia, Belgrade. That's my future. That's all I see.
You're taking this group to Portugal. Andy King, James Collins, not there. Can they still come in for Serbia?
No. Well, we can do, but I think with James, he's got a problem in his knee. It was a long conversation with Ginge, but he's got a problem in his knee. And we've never taken chances with players. I think Ginge would have had a push, tried, but I'm not sure he's ready to do that. And what we don't want is take him and him to break down and we're one short. We can't afford to do that. So it's a disappointing situation for Ginge, unfortunately. And for King, he's got a problem there. He needs to sort it out. He needs rest. He needs it sorted. And they're both a loss because they're experienced players. And like I talked about Neil Taylor earlier, a lot of these boys, they don't get much airtime, if you like, because they're not Gareth, Bale, or Aaron Ramsey, but they play a huge part in us. Yeah, Andy King's, he's always here. King, it'd be strange not having him because he's always here. But they're not ready. They're not physically ready, so we can't take the chance unless we're absolutely decimated. I'd probably say to Ginge, we got no choice. But then we're taking a big gamble, and we've never really done that.
Because he has played, that's the point, hasn't he?
He's finished, yeah. He has, but with problems. So I think the problem we got is now, where do you bridge that gap between when he's finished playing and when we play? How do you put a program in place that's going to keep him taking over? Because he needs rest with that knee. He was being looked after by West Ham. He needs rest. So when he has rest and then bringing him in, taking a gamble with him, we may be wasting time, and I don't think we can afford to do that. I think at an absolute push, I'm quite sure if I rang Ginge up and said, unfortunately, we've lost 3 or 4 defenders, he'd be on the plane probably. But we're not at that stage. So,
without Gareth Bale, is this the first time you've had to, certainly for a while, instigate Plan B?
A very wise man told me, Plan B is getting Plan A right. So I don't have a Plan B as such that we haven't got Aaron Ramsey, we haven't got, because if you look at this campaign, Rambo's been out for 3 games. Joe Allen missed second half against Austria, most of it. Missed the Georgia game. Bale's missing this one. When those 3 are on the pitch, our win rate is 74%. It's a fact of life. There's nothing, we can't change that. But it doesn't mean that we know one thing, international football, we're always going to have it our own way. We can't always pick our strongest team. So you've got to bridge the gap somewhere along the line. And you've got to stand up and say, this is our turn now. We haven't got our best player, who just happens to be one of the best players playing football. What we're going to do, we're going to use that as an excuse, or we're going to use it to say, so other people can say, no, I'm capable. We're capable of doing something here. So you always want him in your team. Serbia will be delighted he's not playing. But we can use that to our advantage as well. We can use that and say, right, what can we come up with here? Can we do something?
And you're saying that, because some of these youngsters could have gone to the Toulon tournament, couldn't they? But you're taking them with you. Are you saying to them, you have a good camp in Portugal, you'll be on the plane to Serbia, and in particular, is this the time for someone like Harry Wilson to return, or maybe even Ben Woodburn to be really blooded?
Well, I think we're talking about a starting 11 against Serbia in Belgrade. To start someone with absolutely no experience, unless you absolutely have to, then you don't really do that. I think that's common sense. But somebody to come on as a substitute, maybe, especially if you've got ability to turn a game of football, to create something special. I think we've got some players in there, some young players in there that can do that. So they'll have a chance, depending on how it goes, But you know, going into this Portugal, the first week is very much to make sure we find out where they are physically. At the end of it, we'll be working more tactically. And whatever squad is there to go to Serbia will be a capable squad. And whatever players are there, I'll expect them, if they're called upon, to do the job. And that's why they're there. That's why I've picked them, because they're capable of doing that. I know what's been said before, this one's this young, he's that young. And I don't care if you're good enough, you're old enough, you know, and I expect them. If I'm taking them with me, it's because I believe in them. And if I need to call upon them, I expect them to produce because they're good enough.
And last one from me. Given the circumstances, given the absentees, I know you went through the Euros, beat Belgium, second in the world at the time, but how does this game rate in difficulty to other games that you've had to cope with, given, as I say, the absentees who's not available?
I think when you go to Serbia or you go to Bosnia, countries like this, you face with players who there's a coldness about them, there's a stubbornness, there's a huge sense of passion when they're representing their country. I said this some years ago, and we had to take a little leaf out of their books, if I'm honest with you. They're streetwise on the pitch. They know how to cope with the tempo of a game, how to slow it down, speed it up. We've had to learn. We've got better at that. I think sometimes we've been too honest on the pitch and off the pitch. Too honest. You know, you go to countries like this, you know before you get off the plane, shenanigans. It's going to happen. I've always been a little bit critical of us because when they come to us, we can't do enough for them. I've never understood it. You know, we go to Austria, we've got 4,000 fans. They were so far away from the pitch, I couldn't. You know, there was planes flying lower than where our fans were. And you can't. I don't blame the Austrians for doing that. You know that. You know, Ireland. You know, we take loads of fans to Ireland. We can't take the Barry-Owens and all out to take the trumpets and the horns in. But there's loads of music while we're playing. Loads of Irish music playing. Can't blame Republic of Ireland for doing that. Us, however, in the past, we've not been that savvy. We can't do enough for people because we want people to think we're lovely and we're nice. All I care about is our team performing and doing the business. So it's good. These tests are good for us. I enjoy it going to places like this. I never enjoyed the last time when we went to Serbia, but you learn from that. So, no, we've in the last 4 years we've learned a lot. We've had to learn a lot. We've still got a long way to go. But when you play against teams like Serbia, the very least, if you don't man up and roll your sleeves up when you're in Belgrade, we've seen what can happen before. So as the very least, but you know, it makes you or it breaks you.
Chris, as a club manager, you've got the Gareth Bale situation out the way in a week. Have you been driving yourself mad, going over the permutations, different players, who you could fit in?
It's actually with Bale, it's a lot easier when you haven't got him because you can't replace him, first and foremost. So then I've got to come up with a formation I think is going to suit us, suit the challenge. And then I look at the players and I say, right, who's been playing enough? Who's had enough game time? Who don't I have to risk? Who's had enough game time? Who's playing well? Can he tactically, has he got the thinking to fit into the system I want to play? So, you know, with Bale, I can't replace Gareth Bale. You can't. So it's probably slightly easier in terms of who you're going to pick. If it was someone else, maybe it's tougher. But when you can't replace somebody in terms of that type of ability and that threat, no, I can't say that I've been thinking. You know, I've been as soon as it happened, got my head around it, and you know, just started planning forward for this game.
Who's going to go in there?
He doesn't know that yet. I know who's going in there, but he doesn't.